back, guys, to another edition, another episode of the Cobra News. Today, we're going to be talking about, as per usual, mass adoption a little bit. We're going to talk about the state of the world of crypto, what the headlines are, we're going to use that as sort of a measuring stick to figure out what the world of DeFi and the world of crypto looks like right now, and we'll have a little bit of a discussion about it. We're going to talk about Panama, we're going to talk about Twitter. We're going to talk about Elon. A lot of really interesting stuff with the Twitter, the buyout, the buyout and the billions that we're seeing happen. Some new information has come to light about it, which is quite interesting. But I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I think we'll start off with what's on the screen right now. We'll start off in style. Let's start off with a little bit of swagger. Let's talk about Gucci, and what it is that they're doing in the world of crypto right now. If you guys remember from one of the previous episodes, we talked about this big bank in Germany. In one of the previous news episodes, we talked about a big bank in Germany, which is like the second largest in the country, which is making moves in terms of adoption, in terms of crypto recognition, soft regulation, but more recognition. And what was the takeaway from that? We kind of talked about how when you see an established name in a space make a move, just like, Bitcoin makes a move and all the altcoins follow Bitcoin. You see this chart up here, zoop, zoop, zoop. What is everything else doing? Zoop, 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 zoop. It's the same sort of pattern, right? We've seen a really big name in sort of luxury clothing. Like a luxury brand, not even just clothing in general. Gucci's doing all kinds of stuff nowadays. We've seen them begin accepting Bitcoin in certain stores. So we'll get into what this means, where it's happening, what you can actually purchase. Jason Nelson is bringing us this sauce today, literally today. But yeah, Gucci, the latest luxury brand to begin accepting crypto payments. Let's roll right into the news and see what this says. Iconic fashion brand Gucci will begin accepting cryptocurrency in some of its US locations later this month. So there's a little bit of insight. It's just in the United States for now, and it's not going to happen until, part way, like when we're past like the midpoint of May, most likely. When someone says later this month, at the beginning of a month, it's usually after the midpoint. So yeah, they are going to start rolling this utility out towards the end of this month, and they already have plans in the works to roll out that same utility to other stores in the North American sort of continent over the summer. Now, according to Vogue Business, payments in store, so crypto you can pay online, obviously, sure, but in-store payments are going to be run via a QR code, kind of like the guy from Strike. You saw him buy a Coke with Bitcoin. I think what he did was the same exact thing. He scanned a little code, and the money left his wallet and entered the vendor's wallet, and the transaction was complete. The Bitcoin was transacted across the two wallets, and he was able to pick up his Coca-Cola and then just walk away. So it's probably going to be the same thing, again, as they're saying, QR codes that customers can scan with their crypto wallet, which is sent by Gucci via email. So you'll be in a store, standing at the counter, you'll give the person your email address, a QR code will be sent to you, you scan it, and then the transaction happens effectively. Now, in terms of what cryptocurrencies you're going to be able to use, obviously Bitcoin, yeah, that's the big one, the big boy. Bitcoin Cash as well, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and Shiba Inu. This is one of those, if you are on YouTube, go to episode 5 of the crypto education, and this will make a little bit more sense to you. Try to see if you can drop a comment at the point at which we explain different types of tokens and what they are and stuff like that. So that'll, that's a little bit of a sneak. Not even say that's like a augmented reality game. It's like a little ARG across the Cobra content. Go do that little treasure hunt, and then drop a comment when you found it with like a timestamp or something. That should be fun. But yeah, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and Shiba Inu, some of the most popular ones various digital currencies. They're saying including these. So this is not a exhaustive or comprehensive list in any capacity. It's just a sort of, it's very fresh news. They're rolling this out. They have plans to roll it out. We're at the cusp of that move, basically. So the information is a little bit hazy, but like we always do with the news, we're going to keep covering this. We're going to come back to it. We're going to figure out any updates to it, So we'll watch this story with a lot of interest and, see what developments unfold, I suppose. Now we're looking at, obviously they said a number, some US locations. So what locations are they? Have we seen any confirmation? Yes, we have. The first ones to accept crypto are the Worcester Street store in New York, quite a big one. Rodeo Drive, obviously, like the Worcester Street version, like the East Coast, West Coast version, right? Miami Design District, Phipps Plaza in Atlanta, and the shops. Cool. So Vegas, Atlanta, and the coasts. So they've got a pretty good spread, to be honest. They're rolling it out. They're beginning this rollout in sort of the most popular locations. It's a running joke that you got the two coasts and a few interesting places in the middle, but a lot of the middle bit of America is just empty, useless, pointless. Which there's a case to be made for that. But what we see is Gucci effectively using their sort of flagship locations, the biggest ones, the ones that see the biggest foot traffic, right? East Coast, West Coast, friggin' Rodeo Drive, Worcester Street. We see Miami, Atlanta, and Vegas. Big sort of areas. And then throughout the summer, dependent probably upon the success of this initial rollout, what they're going to do is they're going to continue to roll it out to other stores across America. And then if that turns out to be a really, really sort of lucrative and successful move, and if all of this FUD really from the government and traditional financiers, traditional finance magnets, if all that stops, if all that shifts, then we'll probably see global adoption. That could be the only sort of, because if Gucci does this and sees success, all the little brands that try to copy Gucci are going to try to do the same thing, right? Because these guys are established, they're prestigious, very prestigious when it comes to luxury brands. I mean, there's a lot of, I feel like in the UK especially, there's a lot of attempts by young people to degrade the value of these luxury brands. I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's inadvertent, but you do see it. But somehow Gucci has managed to maintain a lot of their reputation, which is good because these big brands, they influence, they're trendsetters. They are trendsetters, they're not followers, they're trendsetters. And there you go, other high-end brands, most recently Off-White. I really, really like the brand Off-White. I really like the brand Off-White. They have begun accepting crypto as well. Same thing. You see, they're following the big boy. Water displacement, very simple. Big whale, big object in the water, it influences everything around it. So yeah, I'm really interested. I really like this. I love real-world utility. I feel like that is the strongest sort of push factor, or even pull factor, I guess, the strongest pull factor in the slow but steady strong march towards complete mass adoption of cryptocurrencies and DeFi technology across the world. Yeah, global true mass adoption. We're moving closer and closer towards it with every passing news story that looks a little bit like this. It's big and it's nice and it makes me happy, makes me smile. So let's crack on with the article. Offering in-store crypto payments is the latest in Gucci's move into Web3. So we talked about in-store payments and how that's going to work, but who shops in-store nowadays, right? I mean, if you're going to go down to Oxford Street or Rodeo Drive or something like that, cool, make it a day, make an event of it. But most shopping is done nowadays online, right? And what does that mean? Online, the word online is changing now. We're moving from Web 1, Web 2, and now we're in we're not in Web 3 per se, but we're, taking our steps into that type of world. So let's talk about Gucci in relation to that. Earlier this year, Gucci entered the metaverse by purchasing virtual land in the Sandbox, which is a big Ethereum game. It's really, really freaking interesting, the Sandbox, to be honest. You can make quite a bit of money as well. Just a little money maker. I used to look into this in the, sorry about that, early days of DeFi. Crafting the future, pixel by pixel. Gucci Vault. You see huge companies, big names purchasing land effectively. You see these little pixels. This is what land in the Sandbox looks like effectively. It's like a big map. And you see right there, you see that? That's Snoop Dogg. That's land owned by Snoop Dogg, right? And people, it's basically like a giant mall, and you have virtual foot traffic. So where you are placed is really, really critical. For success and stuff like that. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I would recommend you guys take a look at the Sandbox game on Twitter. Take a look at their take a look at their account and just go through it, right? Take a look at their website. Everything's linked up here. They have a link tree. Just take a look at it. Very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, we did see, Gucci enter the metaverse. It bought land in Sandbox, this thing. This happened February of this year. That's what it says. Wait, when did that actually happen? So Gucci's doubling down on its commitment on Wednesday. Yeah, so it was in February. It was in February. Amazing. That means they're really bullish on this momentum, to use what's it called, charting terms, right? This isn't the first time Gucci has licensed items for virtual wear, so it was clearly an adopter of technology. There's a reason Gucci has seen so much success, because they were trendsetters and sort of trend breakers when they first started, and then they kind of dictated what the norm was for a very long time in luxury fashion. And then, like if you take it, I don't want to talk about fashion and all of that stuff. I'm not really as qualified as I should be, so I'm not going to talk about all of that stuff. What I will say is that they're clearly very bullish on new technology. They've partnered with the Roblox developers back in the day to create an official clothing collection like 2 years ago. Virtual space on Roblox, they did that. And there was scalping, thousands of dollars for Gucci items and stuff like that. So really, really interesting. They've always been plugged into this type of technology, and they're continuing. They've been plugged into this type of mindset, and they're continuing to stay plugged into that type of mindset. That's what I'm seeing, right? They had a commitment to the metaverse. They are doubling down on their commitment to, I wouldn't say metaverse, I would say adopting new technology and riding that wave in order to see success, right? Very happy with it. Very happy with it. Gucci is one of those brands that I'm going to keep an eye on now. Now the Sandbox, unlike Roblox, now they've seen a shift into very specifically crypto-focused moves, right? On undisclosed amount. They didn't tell anybody how much they actually paid for this, but it's building a virtual Gucci vault. That's what we saw on that little tweet. This thing over here. It's like a virtual physical vault, and what this vault is going to do in the Sandbox is it's effectively going to act like a real safe, a real bank vault, and all Gucci NFTs are going to just go in here, and it's going to be held in here, which is genius. It's fucking genius, because that creates, we talked about foot traffic and placement and stuff like that. That is going to become a highlight. It's like, oh, I bought land next to the Gucci vault. Like it makes sense. Like they're influencing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Stay plugged into this space, and learn about it, because it's very, very interesting. Built on Ethereum. Again, we talked about different blockchains. This one's like a utility type blockchain. You can build things on it. It was also the first luxury brand to release an NFT at all, Gucci. So what we're seeing is a continuation of bullish momentum on crypto. The first luxury brand to create an NFT. They bought land on the Sandbox. They tried to get into Roblox. Very, very tech friendly, new technology friendly. No signs of slowing down when it comes to the expanding world of Web3 and expanding into the expanding world of Web3. We love to see it. We love to see it. So we've covered all of that. One of the, just one of the big names in fashion and apparel entering Web3. So it's not just Gucci. Like I said, look up here. What do you see? This follows this, this follows this follows this, right? Dolce and Gabbana, we got Adidas, we got Nike, we got Vans, we got Balenciaga, we got all of these big brands, right? Big brands that people watch, that people care about, that people, whether you say that you care or not, you're still gonna, you go into, you're gonna re-up on your perfume or something. What are you gonna go for if you walk into like a perfume store or like a aftershave? You're looking for a new one. You're gonna go for the name brand, right? Like with me, I go for Zegna. I got one Zegna one time, and now all I will buy is Zegna, right? Because you build that brand loyalty. So people bought a Dolce and Gabbana cap like 5 years ago, or sunglasses 5 years ago, and they love it. And it's like the luxury brand that I like. Me as a person, I like this one. So people have these, what's the word? They have a specific sort of affinity or partiality towards one specific brand. And when the brands that are taking moves like Gucci are this big, chances are it's going to push mass adoption much more than if smaller brands did it, or if brands didn't follow Gucci at all, right? So this is all really good stuff. Fashion and apparel. We're seeing virtual items on virtual worlds quite a lot. It doesn't have to be just metaverse specific. We saw Gucci trying to do things in in Roblox, right? Adidas, Nike, sports games. Think about sports games. You can buy sports items, all of this stuff. It's small. It's not the same. It's not crypto specific, but it is indicative of a shift towards that mindset, right? That mindset, which is always a good thing, because these guys are going to influence the smaller guys. And once the smaller guys start moving in one direction as well, that's when the whole of society moves as one, right? No detractors towards mass adoption. That's what we're going to start seeing. Now, these brands are kind of the new kids on the block now, because there are crypto native fashion houses like Digitalax, Blank Souls, DressX, and RedDAO. Now, here's the thing. I've heard of Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, Adidas, Nike, Vans, Balenciaga. I've not heard of any of these things, right? I've been plugged into DeFi, right? I've been plugged in. And I like to think of myself as like a youthful dude who's like plugged into fashion somewhat, right? But I've not fully heard of these as well. I will. Very soon I will. I know people who definitely know about these. If I ask Z to unmute right now, or I ask any of the crypto cobras to unmute right now, they will probably know what a number of these things are. So there is always the opportunity to learn about these things, but for mass adoption, what we need is for all the newbies, right? We need the newbies to be ushered in, and we need them to be very welcomed well, and educated well. And big news stories like this they give me a lot of confidence for the state of entry into the world of DeFi, because what they're doing is making it smoother, right? They're making it much smoother. They're bringing people in. They're showing people that it's not a scary, terrifying type of technology. How could it be? Gucci has a vault on Sandbox. Doesn't that sound so cool? Do you not want to see the Gucci vault on the Sandbox? It creates that. And it's nice to see. Now, these guys do have a head start with online communities around the brands. So I'm probably going to see some hate. Hopefully not. I do apologize for not knowing what these things are. But again, community is extremely important. Community is what sustains things on DeFi, right? In the world of DeFi. So ideally, what I'd like to see is the creation of just these communities linking up with these communities, and these guys kind of like, instead of an us versus them mentality, if we could have an all of us together type of mentality. But again, guys, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to follow these news stories and figure out, not even figure out, just watch and learn from the way that these big entities operate. Now, to prepare for this new venture, Gucci says it will provide cryptocurrency and NFT education and training to its staff. Again, major bullish. This is making me happy. This is making me think that this is not going to just crash and burn. They're not just doing this like a big corporation during Pride Month, putting up a rainbow and then taking it down. Just the hop on the gravy train. Like, this shows that these guys are making a informed move that they are fully behind. They're taking the time and the resources to educate and train their staff fully on cryptocurrencies and NFT before launching this endeavor, which is good, because that's nothing will ensure failure more than a degen corporation or a degen person or a degen entity thinking they know DeFi, thinking that it works the same way as the old world, and then just crashing and burning and not giving it the respect and the time and the resources that it deserves, not giving it the humility that DeFi deserves, so that you can actually pump up with, ride that wave, ride that DeFi wave. Gucci is always looking to embrace new technologies when they can provide an enhanced experience for our customers. Amazing, cool, very PR, very PR friendly statement, but it makes sense. Now that we're able to integrate cryptocurrencies within our payment system, it's a natural evolution for those customers who would like to have this option available to them. Exactly. That is the main thing. People just want the choice. People just want the option to be able to do this, right? I think this is what a lot of governments and entities get wrong. They think that people just want to tear everything down. No, man. Sometimes we just want to pay for things with something other than a dollar, But yeah, I think that brings us to the close of Gucci. So let's forget about Gucci for a moment. All of this will be in the stream resources. So if you want to go through this in depth, and like click through all of these little links that explain other things around the story, if you want to do some background reading, by all means do. Check out our Medium article. Our Medium amalgamates all of the resources that have been used in a stream for your convenience, really. So in your own time. Obviously, these streams are all run live, but it's on the YouTube, so you can check it out whenever you want to. And you can also go through the stream resources at your leisure and just read these whenever you have some free time, right? So subscribe to the Medium. Anytime something new comes out, you'll get a notification. Just check it out when you can. This will be on there as well. Yeah, I feel like we've given Gucci quite a lot of time. Let's go to Panama. Let's go to Panama from Gucci. So this is basically more mass adoption, guys. A little bit more mass adoption. Panama is poised to approve the use of Bitcoin and 8 other cryptos without limitation. This is the interesting part of this story. So they're following the sort of the El Salvador model a little bit. But I'm really interested to see what all of this is. So let's break down the sauce from Chloe all together, guys. Let's take a look at this. So lawmakers in Panama, the Latin American country with a reputation as a tax haven, have approved a bill that would regulate the use of Bitcoin and 8 other cryptocurrencies and approve their use for paying taxes and for private transactions. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that they've done that for paying taxes and for private transactions. Gabriel Silva, a Panamanian lawmaker who promoted the bill, said on Twitter on Thursday that the country's National Assembly had passed this crypto legislation bill. He says, He says, Panama crypto law approved. This will help Panama consolidate itself as a hub for innovation and technology in Latin America. Crypto law approved in third debate. This will help Panama become a hub of innovation and technology in Latin America. Beautiful. Big bullish. Gabriel Silva is big bullish. Let's see what the people think. He seems pretty happy about it. Okie dokie. I don't speak Spanish, so I cannot break that down as well as I would like to. Okay, so he says on Twitter that the bill has been passed. And the bill will now pass to Panama's president, Laurentino Cortizo, for his signature. As soon as that's on there, it becomes law. This will help Panama, as he said, become a hub for innovation and technology, arguing that it will create jobs and help create financial inclusion as well. This I do like. This is the beauty. This is one of the beauties of cryptocurrencies. They are a great equalizer, to a degree. But then the barrier to entry, almost unintentionally, is quite high. So this is why groups like the Crypto Cobras exist. That we can lower that barrier to entry. So we can put a little trampoline at the bottom of that wall, and you can just yeet over the wall with all this knowledge that you have now. A copy of the draft bill, shared by Silva on social media, said that citizens, banks, and legal entities in Panama would be permitted to use several cryptocurrencies as a means of payment without limitation. These cryptocurrencies right now are Bitcoin, Ether, Ripple, Litecoin, XDC Network, Elrond, Stellar, IOTA, and Algorand. Cool. So these were the guys that shut down Times Square. They turned Times Square dark. They're very green with stuff. Interesting. Okay, cool. The currencies would be accepted as payment in both civil and commercial capabilities, or capacities, excuse me. Civil and commercial, so paying taxes and private transactions basically makes sense. Commerce, and legal stuff as well, I guess. The cryptocurrencies named in the bill vary wildly in value. That is true. That's a really strange mix of cryptocurrencies. I wonder why they chose those. Bitcoin trading around 38,000. XDC was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. But I don't think it's about the value of the coins themselves. I think it's more about the utility of the coins and what you can do with them. The tokenization of precious metals and other goods would also be permitted under the new law. Interesting. Okay. Panama's adoption of the legislation would see it follow in the footsteps of El Salvador and the Central African Republic. We did cover this in the previous news episode as well, remember? The CAR is rolling out like crypto payments and stuff like that. With both countries having already approved Bitcoin as an official currency. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Central African Republic approved it as an official currency, so did El Salvador. It wasn't about crypto payments. It was about recognition and regulation. In Panama, however, it would not be obligatory to accept the cryptos, which means they won't be legal tender per se. So what that means is effectively, if something is an official currency, if you go to a store and you choose to pay in that currency, the vendor has no choice by law but to accept that currency. The way the law stands right now, people can try to instigate commerce with a cryptocurrency now, but there is no guarantee that that commerce will be, that consensus will be reached. There we go, little crypto terms. Within that, like basically the vendor can say no. The vendor can say no right now. It will become full legal tender as soon as the vendor is legally obligated. So as soon as the president's signature is on that bill, effectively. That's when we'll see it become proper legal tender. The bill said that Panama would launch a official digital wallet, a country-backed digital wallet, government-approved digital wallet, similar to what El Salvador has done with its Chivo app, to allow residents to basically just carry out transactions at their leisure. That's a hell of a headline with the Chivo. I think this was just to get people on Chivo in it. But this is what it is. New cryptocurrency. Well, not new per se anymore, but this was the Chivo app for people to use Bitcoin as legal tender. Now, let's continue from where we were, which is here. So Chivo, again, Panama is going to have a similar sort of thing, a fork of Chivo, to allow their people to carry out transactions in a regulated, safe sort of way. So even though it's an app that's run by the government, that does give you a little bit of a buffer and a little bit of regulation, which, soft regulation, not a bad thing. Now, Silva on TikTok, he was on TikTok right after the bill was approved, and he talked about how the decentralized platform that enables the cryptocurrency transactions would be used by Panama's government to enable, quote-unquote, faster, more efficient, and more transparent processes. Always a good thing. He claimed that the law would be regulated by a watchdog. Awesome. Cool. And all cryptocurrencies and digital assets would be subject to Panama's existing regulations on money laundering. They're not changing that. So Panama, the existing money laundering regulations are, you know, a little bit iffy, but still, by nature, by virtue of it being built on a blockchain, there is more speed, more efficiency, and more transparency on cryptocurrency transactions anyway, by default. So that's a good thing. That's not that deep. I think the fact that there is a watchdog at all is a good idea. Good thing. Using cryptocurrency will be optional for Panama citizens, as opposed to replacing the Panamanian Balboa. Wow, okay, I did not know that the Panamanian currency was called a Balboa. Interesting. I'm going to exercise all of the self-control in my body and not make a joke about the boxer. Just as Bitcoin is used alongside the US dollar in El Salvador. So it's not going to wipe out the current currency and then take over. That's not what's going to happen. It's just going to be, as they say, another option. If you want it, it's there. You can do it. You can use it. Controversy. Let's get into this. So cryptocurrencies are infamously volatile and lack regulation, right? These are the kind of two things that people talk about: volatile and no regulation. After officially adopting Bitcoin as currency last year, El Salvador was urged by the IMF to reverse its decision, with the organization expressing concern over, quote-unquote, large risks for financial and market integrity, financial stability, and lastly, of course, consumer protection. There are also questions about how widely crypto will be ultimately used, as Bitcoin uptake in El Salvador has been poor. Soon after, I'm just gonna brush over this. To be honest. But yeah, soon after Bitcoin's adoption, a survey by the El Salvador Chamber of Commerce found that over 8% of people did not want their remittances or payments in Bitcoin. Perhaps because of the astronomically high ATM fee on converting BTC to USD. This is, can't read that. I wonder if there's, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll do that another time. That's fine. Just in case it breaks the stream, I'm not going to worry about it. But this is what happens, when you're world, there's always a real world problem that pops up. It's like with coding, you can set everything perfectly, set the parameters perfectly, but as soon as you hit the space bar, you hit enter, right? And you run the code, it's going to run into a bug that you didn't see, or some sort of little circular dependency is going to run and become this crazy issue. So it's important to account for every eventuality. It can seem like an impossible task, but I think it's worth attempting that task regardless. Like with Ethereum, all these delays that they're doing, good. Delay it more. Delay it as long as you want, because I want it to be fucking bomb proof. I don't want it to be, I don't want to beta test the new technology effectively. And then people don't want to beta test the new technology as well, because this is what you do. When you beta test it, you find out that there are real world problems with real world utility. But if you make sure all of these are accounted for before you do the proper rollout, then you avoid all of these issues. Because this is just a momentary setback. You get around that because when an issue arises, you resolve it, right? So the best thing to do is make sure all the issues arise as early as possible, and then resolve them all, and then you run. But yeah, and apparently over 9 out of 10 people rejected the idea of taking their salaries in digital coins. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is doing it, Odell is doing it, Serena Williams is doing it now. We're gonna start seeing a change in this sentiment. I'm fairly sure they are talking about the past, to be fair. Meanwhile, a new report from the U.S. National Bureau of Economic Research this week found that just 20% of adult citizens in El Salvador were using the Chivo wallet app. Interesting. Bit of a lull in usage there. And despite assertions from Panamanian lawmakers that the new legislation would help Panama beat money laundering, cryptocurrencies are notoriously difficult to trace. That is true. So you got to take all of this with a grain of salt too. You can't just be, oh, mass adoption, amazing, I'm so happy, oh, great, let's run with it. Like you can't just push your face into a brick wall because you're hoping for a specific outcome. You do need to recognize that Panama has a reputation as a tax haven, has a reputation for not being the most transparent place when it comes to money, to a degree. So the question is, will the introduction of a murky new technology exacerbate that situation, or will it make it better because of the transparency that comes with it? And what will the forces that, the powers that be, how will they react to this? How will they, how will nations influence? What actions will nations take to influence the outcome of this story, the outcome of the introduction of this technology? We'll just have to wait and see, guys. We'll just have to wait and see. Patrick Cannon, a tax barrister at Cannon Chambers, told Fortune on Friday that Panama's new law, if approved, was likely to be attractive to all sorts of fraudsters and people who deal in things that they shouldn't be dealing in, due to the ability to trade cryptocurrencies anonymously. Yep, makes sense. Panama has a reputation as a tax haven thanks to the release of the so-called Panama Papers in 2016. I'm sure you guys know about this. 2.6 terabytes of data with... just threw a whole bunch of people into a whole bunch of hot water because a lot of people were doing a lot of crap that they shouldn't have been doing. But I will leave a... Oh, that's gone. Sometime. Interesting. Bear with me 1 second. There it is. More than 2.6 terabytes of data comprising more than 11.5 million documents. The release of the Panama-based law firm Mossack Fonseca's records represents one of the largest data leaks in history, right? Take a look. Put a VPN on and Google this. Try to see if you can find a big name doing something shady. Because I promise you will see a big name doing something shady in here. So yeah, we got to take all of that into consideration, guys. But in general, it is mass adoption. Remember, I said the big Gucci's do it, the mid guys do it, and then the little names at the bottom do it. But you need to have all three layers working towards the same direction in order to see a big move in that direction. So it's not just the magnitude of your influence, right, as it was with the luxury brands, but it's also, I suppose, the reputability of you, the credibility that comes with you adopting a new technology, because it's either going to be bullish credibility or bearish credibility, right? So it's a question of, those three tiers. You need to have all three moving in the same direction as well, if that makes sense. So Panama is one example. We got the African Republic, we saw El Salvador back in the day, banks in Germany, all over the world. We see things like that. Now, I do recognize that we are running low on time, so we've covered Gucci and Panama. I'll just quickly cover this article. Bitcoin celebrated its halfway to the halving point with the new hash rate record. So we're reaching something called a Bitcoin halving, and the hash rate has hit another all-time high. The 10500th block, right, since the last halving, has just been mined. So we've reached like a halfway milestone, halfway to the halfway type of milestone, which is nice, something to be celebrated. Look at that. Samson Mouse says we're halfway to the next halving and you haven't stacked enough Bitcoin yet. Buy. We're in a dip. Buy that dip, right? Panic noises. Sailor is buying all of the corn and there's none left. That's what's to be fair, you see all these reserves, like people buying huge chunks of Bitcoin and tying it to their stable coin reserves and stuff in anticipation of that big pump that's coming. This will be on our stream resources too, so do take a look at it. But it's basically just a milestone has been reached, right? April 2024 is the next halving, and the previous one occurred on the 11th of May 2020, as Bitcoin entered its fourth quote-unquote epoch, right? And the system is going to continue until the year 2140, which is when the last Bitcoin will be mined. And that will be a historic day as well. When I'm a floating head in a jar, Futurama style, I'm gonna be looking at the TV and be like, oh, look at that, this is the last Bitcoin. I remember when they first made Bitcoin. I remember when I had gas fees. It's crazy. And they're gonna be like, shut up, Grandpa. Grandpa's talking again. But yeah, effectively that's that. We've also seen a cannabis-focused crypto startup launching a NFT community, right? Um, Cannabis businesses are, they see the same sort of nonsensical sort of bearishness from a lot of institutional, like entrenched, old school mindsets. You do see that. They're both sort of newer, not technologies per se, but new things that are being sort of viewed in a more positive light as things go on. But there's still a lot of detractors from this new thing, right? So there is Bitcana. This is what we're talking about. It's a global blockchain technology company called Bitcana. These guys over here. Budheads NFT, really, really cool. Harnessing the power of blockchain to create equal opportunities for cannabis-related industries. This is effectively blockchain use cases for sort of wholesome purposes. They're trying to alleviate some of the negative perception. Well, they're trying to alleviate the consequences of negative public perception within an industry, which is always a great thing. You see this type of technology used for something nice like this to help a struggling industry, which is struggling because of sentiment, I suppose, because of global sentiment. Really interesting project. Really, really look at this website. It's so beautiful. I like it. I think they're doing a good thing, and that is the only reason that I like it. No other reason. Don't worry about the other reasons. Alternative funding for cannabis companies. That's what they're effectively trying to do, because cannabis-related companies they're finding, they're struggling to find their foothold, and in this industry, they're struggling to find success. So we can use blockchain and cryptocurrencies to offer an alternative form of cashless payments and stuff like that. So cannabis businesses struggle to receive financial help, basically like loans and startup funding and stuff from banks and other payment providers. This is what happens. You'd either be denied straight up, or you have to pay a ton of fees to actually receive startup funding, startup capital, venture capital. So yeah, they're launching a NFT collection called Budheads in order to fund this, basically, which is a beautiful thing. Take a look at Budheads. I'm shilling Budheads. Dharma approved. Go check it out. Actually, no, take that with a grain of salt. Do all your research. Read the white paper. Do not get into it just because I said get into it. Don't get into it. Read everything, and then get into it. And again, more mass adoption news. A third of Brits have bought crypto, is what a Coinbase report says. A Qualtrics report was carried out by Coinbase, and the results showed that the number of Brits who have bought crypto is up 4%. It's gone up to 33% since October of 2021, right? Isn't that amazing? Also, this is exactly what life in the UK is like. I can promise you that. I've been living here for like 5 years. What you have is men in suits looking at their watches while they're on their phone, and women looking up at people just staring up at the clock, and it goes, whenever it hits 12, it doesn't go ding dong, it goes time for crypto. That's what happens. And then you have a dude staring at a watch as well. It's not a smart watch, it's a regular analog watch, but he's just really caught up in it. So that's what life in the UK is like. Definitely 110%. I would say take a look at this article. It'll be on the stream resources as well, but this is just an update to you guys. More mass adoption in the UK, right? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Now, we are well over the allotted time for the news episode, so I am going to wrap it up here. What I will say is look out for the episode that's dropping tomorrow, because we will be going into Twitter. We will be talking about quite a lot of interesting Twitter news. Elon and Binance and the Prince of like Saudi Arabia, and just all kinds of really, really interesting stuff. So stay tuned. Yeah, do remember to drop us a like and a comment, and let us know if you have any questions or what you thought of the episode. Subscribe to this channel if you are not subscribed. Check out our Twitter. All the links are going to be in the description. Follow us on Twitter. We post some interesting stuff. Take a look at who we are following, and engage with the Crypto Cobras team. We would love to have a chat with you and just get to know our community. That shit's important. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, guys. Been another great news episode. And yeah, this is Brooklyn out. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Ciao, ciao. Goodbye. Okie dokie. That's us. That's